Alright, Supervisor Land Transport Hazardous Material Subcourse TR1030 Edition 8 U.S. Army Transportation School, Fort Eudis, Virginia 23604, 5400, 8 hours, 8 credit hours, additional date December 1988. Introduction: when the unit is tasked with loading the hazardous cargo overload of the transport, it is your responsibility as transport officer to ensure the hazardous cargo is loaded correctly. The nature of hazardous cargo requires extra supervision on your part to ensure that the cargo is handled and safely and loaded securely. Part A: documentation, label, inspection for damage. Dealing with a hazardous cargo, you must use strict accountability, careful handling procedures as supervised. You do not have personal inspection, account for, or handle each of the pieces of the cargo, but you should make sure that your unit personnel know how to perform these tasks properly. Cargo documentation on transportation control, movement documentation, government bill of landing. The part of the lesson describes in the process of the checking of the cargo documentation to ensure the shipment matches the paperwork. As an officer, you must be able to instruct the unit personnel on how to perform the task. The task starts with the cargo documentation. All cargoes transported over land have some sort of documentation to describe the cargo, identifies the cosigner and cosignee. The general name of the documentation is bill of landing or waybill. We may commonly encounter the two types of waybill: the transportation control movement documentation, or CMD, and the government bill of landing, GMBL. Each of the transportation control movement document, Department of Defense Form 1384. When transporting cargo of the government in the government vehicles, use the government bill of landing, standard form 1103. When transporting cargo with a commercial carrier for the subcourses, you must become familiar with the specific blocks of information on these documents identifying cargo types and status and configuration. Transportation control, movement, and documentation. Transportation control, movement, and documentation use the code of the Department of Defense Regulatory Regulation 4500.32 R Volume 1 Military Standard Transportation Movement Procedures, commonly known as MILSAMP, to describe the cargo. 5 blocks of the information are used on the transportation control movement document to identify the hazardous cargo. These blocks are keyed by the circle numbers in the figure 1-1 and are discussed below. This shows the transportation control movement documentation. 1 is your document ID. 2 is the transportation, 2 through 1 documentation ID. 2 the commodity spec handling. 3 the type of track. 5 remarks. 6 additional remarks. Or 4 additional remarks. Item 1, the document ID, the document identifier block numbers 1 and 32. The document identifying code is the 3-position alphanumeric, in which the first position, always with a T, and the letter E with the second position indicates a shipment of ammunition and explosives. Letter J in the second position indicates a shipment of hazardous material other than ammunition and explosives. For example, the document identified shows the TGA shipment consists of hazardous material other than ammunition and explosives. Item 2, the commodity spec handling. The commodity special handling block number 35 of the commodity special handling code, a 5-position alphanumeric field that identifies the particular cargo and provides specific information pertaining to the particular shipment. The format of the alphanumeric field is explained in paragraph 12 of the appendix B of the mill stamp. The mill stamp contains the number of codes corresponding with the commodity shipped in through the military transportation system. The first 3 positions of the commodity special handling code indicate the general type of the commodity shipped and are shown in figure 1-2. The fourth position of the commodity indicate the type of the cargo, also shows the commodity and is a hazardous material. Alright, hazardous cargo. Nearly all the classes of hazardous material fall in within certain range of the first 3 positions: code, ammunition, explosives, moist, oxidizers, and most acids, and radioactive substances have codes ranging from 400 to 499. Petroleum products other than bulk have codes ranging from 600 to 609. Chemical compressed gases, codes ranging from 630 to 639. The ranges include the most type of the hazardous material your unit is likely to transport. The commodity of the code categories are summarized in alphabetical order with a cross reference to specific commodity codes listed in numerical sequence. You see your commodity codes from aircrafts to baggage to construction material, drugs, machinery parts, lumber, radioactivity, waste materials. The 4th position of commodity special handling is keyed with the paragraph 14 appendix B of the mill stamp is shown in figure 1-3. The figure 1 on this figure generally characteristics of the cargo include the general type of the hazardous cargo. These characteristics are key to alphanumeric character that is a 4th position commodity special handling code. Figure 1-3, 6 codes with the characteristics H, M, Q, Z, and 1 and 2 are associated with non-hazardous codes. Any character other than these is in the 4th position of the code indicates a hazardous material. Alright, this shows A code from A to Z. Sensitive cargo. Sensitive cargo is a special mill-stamp cargo with a sensitivity. The sensitivity cargo includes small arms, ammunition, explosive with the definition threat that the public safety can be used by the militant, revolutionary, criminal, or other elements, civil disturbance, domestic unrest, criminal action. Sensitive cargo identifying the fifth position, the commodity special handling code. If in the commodity sensitive, the fifth position of the commodity special handling code is either 4, D, M, or U. Item 4, the type of the pack of the type pack. Block number 39. The type pack is the two-position alphanumeric field with describe the way of the commodities pack. The codes of the fields are used in the following paragraphs 87 and 90 of the Appendix B of the mill stamp and are shown in Figure 1-4. The type of the pack code is usually determined with a particular hazardous commodity. The code, like especially with the commodity, may come with the very package. Of the first position shows the type of the containers in which the shipment is loaded, but the second position identifies who loads the vans and to what capacity. Item 4, pieces and columns. Column A, for the additional remarks of the block, the piece of the column is a numeric field indicating the number of pieces of a particular ship of cargo includes the information is important in keeping track of the shipment that includes many pieces of the hazardous cargo. Item 5, the remarks and or column block 43, the classified cargo is never intended identified by the transportation control material document. If the cargo is classified in nature, may be inferred with the type of the security services required. The security requirement for the piece of cargo will normally be listed in the block. Items 3 and 4, Figure 1 and 1 can provide with the classified sensitive cargo as well as hazardous cargo. Alright, your miscellaneous mill van and C van shipments codes A through Z and 3, 4, and 5. Your container express shipments, the Conex, second position, serial numbers, and break bulk shipment. Your code descriptions, double-lettered. Alright, U.S. Government Building Landing. U.S. Government Building Landing, Standard Form 1103. Unlike the Transportation Command Material Document, Transportation Control Material Document does not put information about how the hazardous and sensitive cargo. Instead of the information with the exemption of the detailed description of the cargo appears in the group of the block in the middle of the key form. Middle of the form, Figure 1-5 shows the sample of the Government Bill Landing key in circled numbers. This is the shows a 133 description packages, description of articles, number of packages, weights. Key 1, the packages block listed and the kind of packages of the cargo. Key 2, the description of articles, block list and standard clear descriptive of the cargo. Key 3, the number of packages, blocks, and list of the number of packaging each for the piece of the cargo. There is more than one piece of shipment. Key 4, the weight blocks list the weight of each of the package for the cubic and measurement of each of the package where required. Hazardous cargo may be identified with the description of articles, block 2, block key 2, with an clear description of the United States and North American hazardous material identification number. The United States nation's North American hazardous identification number is universally accepted standard identified with the hazardous material by the type of the hazard they represent, property and personnel. The identification numbers are matched with the description of hazard in Section 172.101 of CFR 49, Section 172.101, cross-reference United Nations identification numbers with other parts of the Section 172 describe different hazard pages. Section 172.101 appear in the Appendix B. To find the description of the item, you must locate the identification number in the symbol column 1. Note 2. Note the part of the Section 172 that describes the hazard material involved with the information appears in column 2. 3. Description. Turn the appropriate part of the Section 172 for the description of hazards involved with the material. The hazard description usually appears on the government bill landing. However, it's only the United Nations identification number appears. Consult with the Section 172.102 in Appendix B. Hazard material should be readily identified. Each piece of the hazard material must be displayed in standard hazard material label in accordance with the CFR 49. Figures 1-6 shows the standard hazard material labels. Transportation control material document often tells you the remarks and or block of the type of the hazard material labeled on the commodity requirement. The fourth position of the commodity special handling cargo indicates whether the hazard material labeled is required. The description of the code mill stamp of the Appendix B of the paragraph 14 includes the type of the hazard material label in the commodity requires to Figure 1-3. The government bill landing usually indicates the type of the hazard label required with the description articles block of the Key 2 Figure 1-5 that does not look up at the reference United Nations identification number. Check out the commodity description title CFR 49 hazard material table 172.102 column 2 identifies them. Column 4 identifies the required labels and is very important. Ensure each piece of the hazard cargo carries the appropriate material label. All right, these show the poisonous gas and the poisonous materials. Radioactive materials, you have your radioactive 1, 2, and 3 states. Oxidizing materials, oxidizing and organic peroxides. A spontaneous combustible sign is number 4. Dangerous is given a 4 diamond with when wet blue flame. Irritant is just shows irritant and is labeled 8 in the square frame. 8 with a irritant poison side of it. Oxygen given a yellow sign for white. Chlorine also given the skull and crossbones with the chlorine underneath it. Flammable gas, a red diamond labeled number 2 with red and white flame. Non-flammable gas, green with a compressed cylinder labeled number 2. Corrosive shows a corrosive material and an empty. Explosives A, B, and C. Plaque cards. Flammable liquid 3, given the flame hazardous diamond. Flame solid 4 is given the number 4 with a red and white pin strip over a white flame. Etiogenic agents. Etiogenic agents, biomedical materials in case of damage or leakage. Notify the director of COC, Atlanta, Georgia. Disease-causing chemicals or organisms. Caution, unscrew this bung slowly. Do not screw tightly until the entire pressure has escaped through the loosened threads. Remove the bung in the open air. Keep the open flames and the fires away from closed electric lights are safe. Used to relieve the entire pressure of the pressurized used to relieve interior pressure as pressurized containers. Our inspection cargo items for the damage. When the unit of personnel tally cargo instruct for to inspect each of the pieces of the cargo, evidence of the damage includes the following: stains, leakage and slippage, torn, cut, crushed, multiple mutilated packaging, wetness, or loosening, rattling contents. If the evidence of the damage is found, personnel should immediately notify your appropriate safety personnel so the damage of the cargo can be inspected, repacked, or removed from the loading area. Part B, inspection of placard vehicles. Army Regulation 55.355. Military traffic management regulations require motor vehicles carrying hazardous cargo to be inspected by loading and unloading, and they display appropriate hazardous material placards regulation, as also requires the preloading inspection placard of all the rail car carrying hazardous cargo. Motor vehicle and trailer inspection using the Department of Defense Form 626 AR 55.355 requires the motor vehicle trailers to transport hazardous materials used the Department of Defense Form 626 as an inspection document. Personnel will inspect the vehicle correctly. Any deficiencies noted on the Department of Defense Form 626, and before the vehicle enters the loading and unloading area, sample the form. This 626 motor vehicle inspection transportation hazardous material appears in the Figure 1.7 instruction for completing the Department of Defense 626 appear on the back of this form. Rail car inspection using car certification. If you're shipping hazardous material by the rail car, you must conduct the 2 preloading inspections before loading hazardous cargo. These preloading inspections are recorded on a card certificate. The card certificate is a 3-part form that carries files. Original copy attaches 1 copy to each of the other side of the fixed black cardboard of the rail car. The carrier represents makes an initial inspection and proof of the car service by signing the certification number 1 of the car certificate. You as the shipper, someone authorized by you, must conduct a second preloading inspection. After loading, the shipper must inspect the car again and sign the certification number 2 on the car certificate to identify that the cargo is properly loaded and ready for transport. In addition, the shipment of the hazardous cargo is contained on trailers. The cargo representative or you as the shipper may ensure that the containers are properly secured for the flag car. The carrier represents for the shipper signed certification numbers of 3. The car certificate when the containers of the trailer are holding hazardous cargo are properly secured. The carriers represent shippers should be considered the following criteria when making preloading and loading car inspection. Preloading car inspection criteria. This includes but not is limited to the following: air and handbrakes must be serviceable. Brake shoes must be at least 3/8 inch thick and safe, suitable condition for service. Journal boxes must be properly packed and oiled and covered. Truck springs must be good in condition. Bearing wedges must be not bent, cracked, or broken. Boxcars must be equipped with journal roller bearings. Friction bearings are no longer allowed in the interchange railroad service. AmstedRail.com AARC 7490. Coupling hoses must be in good condition. Spark shields must meet the safety requirements when included. No holes, decayed material, no accumulation of oil, grease, or other debris which could support the combustion. Door runners and channels must be inspected for the damage. If the doors cannot be sealed with the striping, by striping, the car will be rejected. Placing holders, door keepers must be installed in the proper places. Cargo spaces must be swept clean before loading. Roof and the holes and decay will be rejected. This shows a sample of the motor vehicle inspection form that has to be checked over twice. The Department of Defense Form 626. Here's the back. The back shows the instructions when you have the form. This is also the certification where the two shipper signatures for the inspection. Load car inspection criteria. This includes, but it is not limited to the following: load must properly be braced and shorted in accordance with military standard transportation movement procedures, or Milstead. Other military drawing shipping's movement also contain combination of explosive dangerous articles prohibited the Department of Transportation regulation from being loaded and transported together, stored together. All items must be in good condition, marked with accordance with the Department of Transportation. Other applicable regulations. Flat cars must be properly placed. Black car vehicles and rail cars, accordance with the CFR 49 and AR 5535. Department of Transportation Hazardous Material Transportation Regulation, Title 49, Army Regulation 5535, requires all vehicles, rail cars, transportation hazardous material must be have the placards indicating the nature of the cargo. Every vehicle, rail car with any of the quantity hazardous material must be placarded on each end of each side of the type of the placard specified in the title of CFR 49. Tables reproduced in Figure 1.9 of the various hazardous material placards look larger version of the hazardous material labels. A vehicle, rail car carrying two or more classes of hazardous material requiring different and placards specified with Figure 1.9, Table 2 must be placarded dangerous in place with the different placards are, however, within 5,000 pounds or more. One class of hazardous material is loaded on a vehicle or rail car. The rail car must display an appropriate placard with a hazardous material in addition with a dangerous placard. The regulation does not apply to portable tank, cargo tank, or tanker car. No placard is required on a vehicle that it contains less than 1,000 pounds total of any of the materials listed. Figure 1.9, Table 2. If you're responsible for shipping hazardous material, you must provide with the carrier with the appropriate hazardous material placard. If you are on the motor or rail transportation unit, you must obtain hazardous materials placard with the shipper. At the time of the cargo is loaded, the hazardous materials shipped with the freight containers having a capacity of 640 cubic feet or greater. Each freight container must display the appropriate placard. Table 1 shows the Class A, Class A explosive, Class B explosive, poisonous gas, A flammable solid waste, flammable radioactive material, uranium hexafluoride, and that has the notes for the explosive B and flammable solid W, and any of the quality of the oil package bearing radioactive yellow 3 label. The corrosive placard will not require shipment less than 1,000 pounds of gross weight. Table 2 shows more Class C explosive blasting agents: non-flammable gas chlorine, non-flammable gas fluorine, non-flammable gas oxygen, pressure liquid, orogenic liquid, flammable gas, non-combustible liquid, flammable solid, oxidizers, organic peroxide, poison B, corrosive and irritating material. Also, you have your footnotes for flammable placards, chlorine, non-flammable gas blasting, and accepting shipments of oxidizer cards. Part C, inspecting load cargo. You should also ensure that the car is properly loaded to prevent the damage of the cargo, damage to the equipment, ensure the injury of the personnel of the department, discuss the procedure regulation to follow the loading hazardous cargo. Cargo compatibility rules of Title 49. Many of the types of hazardous material are compatible with one another. Transporting incompatible hazardous material together is prohibited by CFR Code Federal Regulation 49. Section 174.8.1 of the Code Federal Regulation 49 contains segregation and separation chart of the hazardous material in a rail car. The table shows that the hazardous, defensible, and ammunition explosives must be loaded, stored, and located in Appendix B of the subcourse. The table and the matrix listing the hazardous material in the horizontal row of vertical column, and the articles listed here must be loaded or stored together. For example, the detonating fuses Class A with the radioactive components must be loaded or stored with high explosive propellant explosives Class A. B in the row, if dotted with a period with the selection of the row and the column, the articles listed should be loaded but stored together, and exemptions limitations indicated by the footnotes. Section 177.848 of Title 49 contains the segregation and separation of the chart of the hazardous material to determine the compatibility with shipping of the motor vehicle. The table, which is reproduced, extract of the Code Federal Regulation 49, see Appendix B of the read, but the same manner with the table section 174.81. The general hazardous material that are not specified and compatible with these tables may be shipped together. Hazardous materials may be generally transported with the non-hazardous materials. These are one of the major exemptions of the rule. A carrier may not transport any package and material bearing a poison label with the foodstuffs and feeds any edible material intended for consumption of the humans or animals. Motor vehicle. The following measures are required in the loading and securing hazardous material when transported in a motor vehicle. General handling requirements. Secure the race packaging to prevent movement of the vehicle. Do not permit smoking open flame with the loading and unloading. Select the vehicle handbrake while loading and unloading. And do not use the tools which may damage the packages for loading and unloading. Do not permit extreme temperatures during the transportation. Load flammable solids, exotic material, corrosive liquids with compatible cargo so they are easily accessible. Serve restrict use of the cargo heaters when hazardous material is being transported. Explosive handling requirements. Do not load and unload explosive from any of the motor vehicles while the engine is running. Do not use bail hooks or other metal tools for loading and unloading packages. Do not roll packages except for the barrels and kegs. Keep all the packages away from the hot vehicle tailpipes and sources of spark. Equally distribute the weight of the cargo over the load bed as much as possible. Secure the tarpaulins means of the rope wire and tie downs. Do not load and carry Class A explosives on any vehicle combination of vehicles if they do not load or carry Class A explosives on any of the vehicle combination of the vehicles. More than two cargo carrying vehicles are in the combination. Any of the fuel trailer combination with a wheeled base with less than 184 inches. A vehicle in the combination is a tank motor vehicle. The other vehicle in the combination contains any initiating explosives, packages, radioactive material with the yellow 3 labels Class A and B, poison, or hazardous material in potable tank. Ensure transportation vehicle with the type floors with no projections that may damage the packages. Do not transport detonate primer of the same motor vehicle with the Class A and Class B explosives. Contain explosives at need with the body of the motor vehicle. Close the vehicle tailgate. Secure during transportation. Transportation explosive closed vehicles and open vehicle cargo bed covered with a tarpaulin. Secure and separate the package with the container which may damage the explosives. Do not transfer explosive of any of the public highway, street, and road except for the emergency. Do not load liquid nitroglycerin, desensitized liquid nitroglycerin, diethyl glycol, directly above any other explosive or any quantity of excess of 900 quarts of one motor vehicle or 10 quarts of any individual container. The net load should not include 7,500 pounds. No transportation restrictions are necessary. Practice ammunition containing no explosives, other dangerous articles, including cartridge cases, dummy or drill cartridges, sand-loaded projectiles, sand-loaded bombs, empty projectiles, empty mines, empty bombs, solid projectiles, empty torpedoes. Rotating bands should be appropriately protected against the deformation. Flammable liquids handling requirements. Stop the vehicle engine unless it is operating with a pump bound to ground with the cargo containing the prior during the transfer of the cargo for the containers which are not metallically contact with each other, provided either with a metallic bond to grounds conductor neutralization possible static charge prior to or during transfer of the flammable liquids between such containers. Connecting an electrical contactor to the container to be filled, and subsequently connect the conductor to the container from which the liquid has come in order to provide against the ignition of vapors by a discharge of the static electricity. Making a ladder connection at point will be removed from the opening where the flammable liquid is to be discharged. Bounding grounding cargo tanks before, during, and transfer cargo. When the cargo tank is loaded there through an open filling of the whole end of the bond wire where they're connected to the stationary system piping other than the ends of the shell of the cargo to provide a continuous electrical connector. Handling requirements. Flammable solid liquids, oxidizers, closed and secure vehicle, the tailgate during the transportation cargo with closed vehicle and open cargo vehicle cargo bed covered with a tarpaulin and watertight containers. Keep cargo dry during handling of the transportation. Load material subject to spontaneous combustion, heating and avoiding adequate ventilation so the cargo does not overheat the catch fire. Unload vehicle as soon as practicable after reaching its destination. Alright, corrosive liquids and handling requirements. Handling carboys, other carrying containers individually when loading and unloading. Hand with the load of the carboys only with the interior high unless they are boxed and crafted in the barrels or keg. Cargoes should be stacked or block braced on the prevented damage during the transportation of load storage batteries so they are insulated against short circuits. Compressed gas handling. Ensure the floors of the vehicle or cargo bed are as flat as possible. Load cylinders onto the motor vehicle, not having a floor and platform, only with the vehicles equipped with a suitable rack. Poison handling requirements. Use practical means to minimize the spread of the poison into the atmosphere during loading and unloading away from the public places and allow only necessary personnel to be present. Do not permit the transportation of Class A poison or any irritating material if there's any interconnection between the packagings. Radioactive material handling requirements. Limit of the number of packaged radioactive material vehicles. The total transportation index determined with, again, adding together with the transportation index number labels individual packets does not exceed 50. The transportation index of the package is highest radiation dose rate millirem per hour, 3 feet from any accessible external surface of the package. Our package of the radioactive material with the radioactive yellow 2 or the radioactive yellow 3 labels must be placed in the motor vehicle and any other place of the closer than the distance shown in Figure 110 to any of the area which may be continuously occupied by the passengers employed for the animal's undeveloped film with more than one of these packages present. Commute the distance of Figure 111 based on the total transportation index number determined with the adding it together with the transport index number of the labeled individual packets where more than one of the groups is present within a single location. A single group may not have the total transportation index greater than 50. Each of the group of the packages must be handled so with no place on the 6 meters or 20 feet and measure the edge to edge of any of the other group. Loading shipments, load specific activity materials and spilling, scatterings and loosening materials. Block and brace packages so that they cannot charge position during transportation. Survey each of the vehicle used for the transportation radioactive material used exclusively. Use the condition with the radiation detection instrument for each of the use. Fixed or non-fixed radiation should not exceed the standards listed with the section 173, 443, 117, 177, 843 of the Code Federal Regulation 49 standards are not provided. Rail transfer. The following measures required for loading and securing hazardous materials that are transported by the rails. Explosives forbidden for transfers. Explosives with igniting spontaneous undergo with the marked with decomposition subject to the higher temperature of 165 degrees or greater for 48 consecutive hours. Explosive containing ammonia, salt, and chlorate, and acidic metal, salt, and chlorate. Leaking damaged packages. Explosives, nitroglycerins, and diethanol, the glycol dinitrate. Load fireworks for the combined with the explosive detonating of the blasting cap of the fireworks containing the yellow and white phosphorus. Toy torpedoes maximum outside dimensions exceed 7/8 of an inch. Toy torpedoes contain the mixture of the potassium chlorate, black antimony, and sulfur with the average torpedo weight exceeding 4 grains. This is a total. This is distance with the table measured with the nearest point of the package of the radioactive materials. Same thing. Loading requirements for the explosive loading and securing Class A explosives so the end of the wooden box do not bear against the side of the fiberboard boxes. There are no pressure points of the boxes. Load large 500 pounds or more explosive bombs, unfused projectiles, rocket ammunition, rocket motors, and other classes A and B explosives which are not packed in boxes. Stock cars and flat-bottom modular cars only if they are adequately braced. Load Class A and Class B explosive with cannot be loaded with the clothes of the cars due to the side and the open top of the cars. Flat cars provided with protected with the weather and accidental ignition. Load boxes and high explosive, low explosives in black powder packages and long cartridges, backs, and sieve-proof liners containing no liquid explosive ingredient on their sides or ends. Do not load Class A explosive higher than the car lining unless the additional lining is provided with the high as the load. When the cargo of the cargo includes any explosive dish, weight the cargo, equalize the weight on each side of the car over the trucks. Load wooden kegs or fiber kegs, barrels, or drums on the other side of the ends. Do not place packages of explosive within space opposite doors with the doorways are on board open inside of the cargo. That does not apply with the pelletized packages if they are properly braced. Secure block packages, brace them to prevent the packaging and the shipping position falling to the floor and sliding into each other. Do not drop packages during the handling. Ensure planks for rolling trucks for the platforms and cars to be beveled ends. Ensure loading platforms, workmen's shoes are free of grit. Take all possible precautions against fire. The shipper is responsible for furnishing all the material needed to stow and secure the explosives on a rail or in a rail car. Do not load explosives into the rail car equipped with any type of liquid lighted heat or open flame device, electrical device having exposed heating coils. Use proper loaded block and brace containers, cars, freight containers, flat cars, gondola cars, and transport. Class A except for the black powder and metal containers. Ensure that all freight cars used with the transportation class explosive weatherproof allow with the securable blocking bracing cargo inside containing maintaining structural integrity of itself and cargo under 8 miles per hour impact. Do not use the drop bottom rail cars to transport freight containing with the Class A explosives. You may transport Class A and B explosives in trucks or trailers on flat cars if the cargo is protected within the weather. Class A explosive initiating priming explosives may not be together in the same rail car. Car certificates are not required for Class C explosives. Alright, loading requirements of flammable gas. Do not transport flammable gas on a rail car equipped with any type of open flame device, internal combustion engine. Service cylinders containing the compressed gas in the upright position, preventing the overturning of the loading of them in the horizontal position. Do not transport cylinders containing compressed gas in the hopper bottom cars. Loading requirements for poisons. Do not transport poison gas in the same cars with the edible materials intended for the consumption of human or animals. Transport Class A poisons in the Department of Transportation approved with the containers and tanks securely block them, embrace them, Port Class A poison in the car loaded lots. However, the gas filled with the projectiles may be transported in the last of the car loaded lots. Ensure each of the shipment of the Class A poison accompanied at all times qualified to escort the supply with the equipment to handle the leakage of other packaging failures which could result in the escape of the blast. When transporting Class A poison, the tank securely mounted on the railway car, especially provided with onto a gondola car prepared with substantial wood frames and blocks. Transport drums of Class A poison with the filling of the holes and securely block and brace them against any of the movement. Whenever the transportation Class A, the drums is in boxcar block and the end of the cars toward the space between the car doors and the braces, them and the center gates and the wedges. Loading requirements for flammable liquids. Do not load flammable liquids in a rail car equipped with any of the type of lighted heater or open flame device. Internal combustion engine may transport metal barrels and drums containing flammable liquids in steel gondolas, flat cars, and stock cars. However, do not transportate hopper bottom cars. Do not transportate flammable liquid bearing the poison label in the same of the car of the edible material intended for the consumption of human and animals. Loading requirements for flammable solids. Do not transportate poisonous flammable solid material bearing poison labeled the foodstuffs, feeds, and any other edible material intended for the consumption of human or animals. Load requirements for oxidizers. Do not transportate oxidizer material bearing the poison label with the same care of the foodstuff, feed, or any other edible material intended for the consumption of human or animals. Loading materials for radioactive material. Limit the number of the package radioactive materials transported with the rail car to a number making total transportation index 50. Transportation index of the total transportation index determine the same name of the number and manner as for the transportation of motor vehicle. The provision does not apply to the exclusive use of shipments. Do not place a package with radioactive material, radioactive yellow 2 or radioactive yellow 3 label is closer than 3 feet to an area which may be continuously occupied by the passenger rail employee. Shipment of the animals are closer than 15 feet to any package containing undeveloped film is so marked if more than one of the packaged radioactive material is present. The distance between must be computed from the figure 111 on the basis of the total transportation index number determined and adding together with the transportation index numbers so the labels of the individual package of the package in the car. Ensure adequate transportation control to assure that the number of Class 3 shipment is transported with the same rail car with any of the radioactive material. Shipments and loading the storage areas segregated with each of the fissionable Fissile Class 3 shipments by a distance of 20 feet from other packages required with bearing a radioactive label. Ensure the personnel do not remain unnecessary within the rail car containing the radioactive material. Secure, block, and brace all packages with radioactive materials to prevent movement during the transportation and closing. In case of the package shipped under with the exclusive use of the provisions, ensure the radiation level does not exceed 2 milliroom per hour in any normal occupied position of the transportation vehicle adjacent rail car. Survey the exclusive use of the railway car transporting radioactive materials. Appropriate radiation detection instrument for each of the use of the vehicle may not be returned. Survey the using the radiation dose rate at any accessible surface of 1.5 milliroom per hour or less, or a significant movable radioactive surface contamination has been removed. Stencil and exclusive use for the car with the words for radioactive material using the letters at least 3 inches high and the conspicuous place with both sides of the exterior of the car leading, keeping the car closed at all times other than during loading and unloading. Loading requirements for corrosive material. Do not transportate the carboys corrosive liquids by rail or container car with loading of the block and the brace package of the corrosive liquids and being transported so that they cannot be positioned during transportation. Place less than the carbo carloaded shipments of corrosive liquids to carboy near the doorway of the car. Nail wooden strips into the car floor so that the liquid from the broken carboy will drain toward the doorway outside of the car. When carrying less than a carload shipment of corrosive carboy, cover the floor under the carboy box with clean and dry sand or earth. Handle the carboys with the neck piles up. Protect the electrical storage batteries to prevent the short circuits. Do not load them and store them with explosives. Do not use the electrical storage batteries in the refrigerator plug door type unless the car has vents in which to prevent accumulation of gas in the car. When transportation of nitric acid, other corrosive liquids, and carboy, separate it from the other carboys. Nail 2x6s and each plank set edge from the cross of the car floor with at least 12 inches from the nitric acid carboy. Or properly secured cargo. Secures all the cargo to prevent the damage. Secure the hazardous of the cargo, not only to prevent the damage of the cargo, but also to prevent the damage, equipment, and injury to personnel. Secure with the bracing and blocking, tie-down, covering. Field Manual 5530 with the Army Motor Transportation Unit operation. Describe the techniques used to secure the cargo on the motor vehicle. TM 55-2200-01-12. The application of blocking and bracing, tie-down materials. Rail transportation described and techniques to secure the cargo. Rail cars. Till 49 CFR includes securing requirements, hazardous cargo, and detonators, flammable cryogenic with flammable gas. Consult each of these so as determination properly measure to secure the particular hazardous cargo. The following are the general criteria to determine the cargo properly secured. Block and brace with the lash of the cargo so that no movement can occur during the transportation. Loaded box crates so that the stronger size of the parallel with the direction of the vehicle to movement. Load drum kegs, carboy cylinders so that they are open with bungs, valves, and necks are facing up. Adequately protect the materials that they are sensitive to shock, puncturing, denting, crushing, or using crate or cribs. Blocking appropriate methods. Secure materials that may emit poison and flammable gases while allowing ventilation for the gases. Secure materials that may emit poison, flammable gases while allowing ventilation into the gas. Protect materials against the moisture of the closed containers, closed vehicles, tarpaulins, and appropriately protect flammable, combustible, explosive materials from all sources of heat, flame, and sparks. Never load cargo higher than the top edge of the side of the transportation vehicle. Load cargo so that the weight is evenly distributed over the load bed. Proper document for the cargo. Every shipment of the hazardous material must be appropriately documented by some form of waybill. Use the forms usually use the Transportation Control Material Document, Department of Defense Form 1384, Government Bill Landing, Transport Standard Form 1103, accompanying the forms. If the transportation officer is shipping activity, you are responsible for making sure that the carrier receives the cargo documentation before starting a haul. If your units act as a carrier hazardous cargo, be sure the unit personnel are possession appropriate waybill before they start the haul. If the government bill lading is used, the carrier does not receive the copy of the Standard Form 1103. The carrier receives the document called the Freight Waybill Standard Form 1106. The carrier will also often carry the co-signer's documentation for the shipment of the co-signer's documentation. Standard for 1103B, the memorandum properly received both Standard Form 1106 and Standard Form 1103B with part of the government bill landing set whenever the Standard Form 1103 serves as the original. Lesson 2. Supervising overload transportation hazardous cargo. Alright, lesson 2. Supervise overland of transportation hazardous cargo. MQS Manual Task 017381001010 or 01787381.00-0020. Introduction lesson discusses special tasks involved with the planning of the monitoring transportation unloaded with hazardous cargo. To properly supervise the transportation unloading hazardous cargo, you must be able to plan the transportation cargo, inform the carrier security precautions, observe the safety and security precautions during the unloading and loading. Part A, the plan of transportation of cargo, the safety, individuals, environmental, primary consideration, shipment of the hazardous materials. Some of the materials secure the special security precautions, carefully planning and imperative before undertaking a shipment of the hazardous material. Security requirements. Security service requirements of the arms, ammunition, explosive determined with the categorized defined in the Department of Defense Manual 5100.76. There are 4 major categories of the arms, ammunition, and explosives. Each of these categories described as tracked for the transportation security guide and Appendix B, and the minimum security service requirements for the various shipment of the categories arms and arms explosives are below. Category 1, the truckload shipments for the category arms and ammunition and explosive following the requirements of security escort vehicles or services or SEVs. Exclusive use of vehicle must be locked and sealed by the shipper. The triple lease may not be used. a single line haul with is required. When two or more vehicles are in convoy, the driving must be inside of the other vehicles at all times. Convoy will require only a single escort vehicle to stop off and transit authorities. For less than a truckload shipments for the category of the arms, explosives, arms, ammunition, explosives, they follow the requirement applying the armed guard services, the support escort vehicle services, and exclusive the use of the vehicle must be locked and sealed by the shippers unless the shipment requires upon equipment. Connex, a similar container may be used. The triple lease may not be used. Single line haul was required for the shipment. The following requirements apply. The AGS, the Military Traffic Expedition Service. Rail cars must be locked and sealed with the shipper. The use of the Category 1 motor regulations associated with motor movement. Category 2, minimum security services requirement. The truck loading shipment. The Category 2, arms, ammunition, explosives appear. The AGS, the exclusive use of the vehicle must be locked and sealed by the shipper. The triple lease now authorized. Single line haul is required. Stop off in transit authorized. For less than truckload shipments, these requirements for the AGS, the Connex similar container may be used. The cargo must be packaged and weighted at least 200 pounds, banded and sealed. If practicable, the container must and locked sealed with the shipper. Single line haul is required. The triple lease may not be used by the carrier. For shipments, these requirements will apply to the rail services for rail surveillance services with load divider doors used with the available. The MTX rail cars must be locked and sealed with the shipper. The consignment must be notified with the impending delivery immediately upon dispatch, and shipment of Category 2 motor regulations apply to the associated motor vehicles. Category 3 and 4, minimum security service requirements, truckload shipments, Category 3 and 4, arms and ammunition explosives appear below. Dual driver protective services, triple lease may not be used. The single line haul is preferred, locked and sealed by the shipper unless upon equipment is required. For less than truckload shipments, these requirements for the DTPS and the Connex similar contained by the use of the cargo must be packaged to a weight of at least 200 pounds, banded sealed, or container must be locked and sealed by the shipper. The triple lease may be used. Single line haul is preferred, locked and sealed by the shipper unless the shipment requires open equipment. For rail shipment, these requirements apply, but the rail car must be locked and sealed by the shipper. The RS and the MTX and the co-signer must be immediately notified pending the delivery upon dispatch of the shipment. Category 3 motor minimum security standards apply to the associated motor movement. Routing for cargo. Routing with defined as an order issued by the routing officer specifying the mode of the transportation, the means of which for the mode by which the shipment is responsible for determining the transportation route for the cargo. Depending on the nature of the cargo transportation environment, you are responsible for the routing shipments of Class C explosives that weigh less than 10,000 pounds in the Military Trafficking Management Command Area Command routes Class A and B explosives. All shipments may weigh more than 10,000 pounds. In situation where Military Traffic Management Command is responsible for the routing of the shipment, must call the Military Management Command Area Command, inform them you need the route ordered. To issue the route order, the Military Traffic Management Command must know the preferred mode, transportation level of security service required for the shipment. The Military Transportation Management Command or Traffic Command will process the request and issue the route. The route ordered and contains the following information: name of the carriers to be used with containing information for the carriers, junction points required for the shipment, the miscellaneous instruction required for the proper forwarding of the shipment, the period of which the route is valid. If you are routinely shipping the cargo required for the security service, the Military Traffic Management Command area may issue the standing route order is valid for all shipments, in particular co-signing the specified period. Alright, carrier providing the required security services. Whether the Military Traffic Management Command determining the route of the shipment, you are responsible, assuming you are the shipper for the contacting the carrier arrangement. The shipment, the Military Traffic Management Command determines the route, and the carrier, if selecting, will have the capability of providing the required services, security services. If you are determining the route, the sure consult with the Military Traffic Management Command or names the criteria which provide the required services, security services before you select the carrier. Check the carrier's tender tariff to confirm the availability of appropriate protective services. Part B, informing the carrier of security precautions, route and schedule for the highway transportation. If you are a commercial carrier for the shipment, your route and schedule should have been established by the time that you contracted with the carrier. You should conform the route and schedule with the driver. If you're using Army transportation elements for the shipment you sometimes authorized by, you should brief each of the driver on the transportation route and schedule. Ensuring carrier understands protective services and requirements. Commercial carriers should normally be aware of the understanding of the safety security measurements required during transportation. Army transportation elements may be have to be briefed unless they are routinely handled transportation hazardous cargo. You should ensure the carrier understands the sensitivity of the material being shipped under the protective supply of the responsibility requirement of the type of the protective service is specified. The commercial carrier should not be informed that as the specific shipment as to the shipment's classification. If the transportation commercial motor vehicle ensures the driver knows how to obtain the information on refuge, safe haven, say the glossary if required, but ensure the carrier is instructed with the procedures in following the case of emergency. These instructions should include the appropriate toll for the free telephone number to call in case of emergency. In all cases, to emphasize with the carrier representative that even the concept that accept the delivery with the carrier has custody of the shipment and is responsible for using all appropriate protective measures. There are two specific responsibilities under the task of the transportation via the highway. Ensure the drivers receive the Department of Defense Form 836 Special Instructions for Motor Vehicle Drivers, which is illustrated in Figure 2.1. The Department of Defense Form 836 is used, but the hazardous materials being transported in motor vehicle. The form of the instruction driver, the general precautions, breakdown procedures, accident procedures, fire procedures, whatever the other measures necessary. Every driver of the vehicle must acknowledge the receipt of the Department of Defense Form 836, sign the appropriate block with the bottom. You or someone by the must complete each of the driver form. Department of Defense Form 836 most often information required with completing of the form should be readily available. The waybill is entitled 40 CFR 49. Fire procedures should be available for your installation safety officers. Alright, this is Department of Defense Form 836 Special Instruction for Motor Vehicle Drivers. Ensure the carrier of the Department of Defense Form 1907 and appropriate the Department of Form 1907 signature tally record usually whenever required for the part of security services for shipment. The form is illustrated in Figure 2.2. Each of the carrier represents a commercial army accepting custody of the shipment must acknowledge receipt of the cargo. Completing the rail section of the form and Section A of the form must be completed by the shipper. If the unit of the shipper makes the sure of the Department of Defense Form 1907 indicated by the security services requires the use of signature tally record information. Section A shall be available for the shipment waybill and route order. If you are in the unit is the carrier, make sure the Section B of the Department of Defense Form 1907 complete when appropriate. Refer to Figure 2.2. Delayed overdue shipment of the hazardous cargo. If you unit the shipper, you must notify the co-signer of the local security office of the shipment armed with the ammunition explosive delayed in its arrival. If the unit of the co-signer, you must notify the shipping unit of the transportation office of the local security office of the shipment of the arms ammunition explosive is not received within 48 hours of the estimated time arrival. Military Traffic Management Command, Army Area Command should also be notified if the shipment of hazardous cargo will be delayed or becomes overdue. This is signature tally record, the Department of Defense, 1907. Part C, observing safety and security precautions, equipment and procedures. Correct equipment and procedure for the unloading of hazardous cargo, the same as for loading. You will learn with a procedure for the Part C for this Lesson 1. Inspected for the cargo for the damage, inspected for the cargo for damage, transfer, unloading. Note the evidence for the damage of the waybill. If there is any evidence of the damage of the hazardous cargo, especially ammunition, explosives, or personnel, should immediately inform the danger so that you can contact the appropriate safety personnel. Do not move or disturb the damaged cargo except as direction of the safety personnel. Telling and reporting cargo discrepancies. Tally cargo, the transportation control management management document, or the government bill of lading due to every loading and unloading of the transportation other to prevent shortage. Especially important to tally arms, ammunition, explosives. Make sure that you can account for every piece for the cargo discrepancy, loss for the damage, and incomplete. All found with the file's appropriate discrepancy report. Proceed the transportation office to the destination ship of the state. Initiate the transportation discrepancy report. The initial message should be the form illustrated in Figure 2.3, backup documentation, standard form 361. Transportation discrepancy report should be prepared. At the same time, the discrepancy message is prepared. An example of the standard form 361 is shown in Figure 2.4. Detailed with instruction completing these forms appear in AR 5538. This is your joint message form, Department of Defense Form 173-2. Transportation discrepancy form, Part 1-2. Compatibility rules for CF Code Federation 49. Compatible chart with the ammunition explosives appear in Section 174.81 and 177.848 of the Title 49. Number of the compatible rules required with the summarized lesson. Make sure unit personnel understand the compatible rules and follow them. And that completes the Supervisor Land Transportation Hazardous Materials Subcourse TR1030 Edition 8, U.S. Army Transportation School, Fort Eustis, Virginia 23604, 5400, 8 credit hours edition, December 1988.